Hello, Henry Ford Broncos. So happy to see you for another week of STEAM class. Last week we had fun learning how to disguise a turkey to keep him safe from being eaten for Thanksgiving dinner. I was amazed by all the creative disguises you sent me. I'm so proud of your hard work. This week we're going to continue with the Thanksgiving theme, and it's called the Mayflower Challenge. So what is the Mayflower? One of my friends said that it's the boat that the Pilgrims came to America on. You're right. That's how the Pilgrims got here. They traveled on a ship called the Mayflower, which had masts, which we call sails, and were powered by wind. It carried 102 passengers to the New World, which was America. At that time, it wasn't called America yet. Only the Native Americans were here. Now, let's find out what our Mayflower Challenge is going to be. So we're not going to make a cargo ship. We're going to make a boat out of foil. So how can you create a boat that will hold the most pilgrims without sinking? And our pilgrims are going to be pennies, because I think that most families are going to have pennies at home to use as our standard unit of measure. Now, if you don't have pennies at home, a smart engineer looks around to see if they can find something to replace that item. So I think that some of you might have marbles at home. They are also a standard unit of measure. A standard unit of measure is something that's the same size and shape. Or you might have these colorful rocks that many people get at the dollar store. So if you don't have the pennies, that's part of the challenge. Think about what you have around the house that could be used as a standard unit. Okay, after we ask our question, next we're going to imagine. So you're going to think, when you use the foil, what shape will be best to hold the pennies? So it will be a square, an oval, a circle, a rectangle, a triangle, or perhaps another shape, maybe a 3D shape. So ask, imagine. What's our third step? Our third step is plan. So when we're planning, we're going to think of the tools that you have at home to help you complete the challenge. Now, Ms. McCormick shared earlier that we're going to use aluminum foil, but you're only going to get one piece. That's it. So to make sure that we're fair on the sizes of the piece, the first family member can take the foil and use the cutting tool on the foil to measure out the size of the foil. And then you can tear off a second piece to match the first piece. I've already done that ahead of time, and you can see that they match up on the end. Now, if you want to be more precise in your measurement, you can use a measuring tool like a ruler or a tape measure, and you can see those in the slide. Let's make the slide a little larger so that we can see things a little bit better. Here I am in aluminum foil. It looks like a picture frame, doesn't it? All right, so we're going to need water for the boat to float on, and we're going to need something to put the water in. So I know a lot of you might have some pans getting ready to cook your turkey next week for Thanksgiving, right? So a nice pan, aluminum pan like this can be used to hold the water. Many families also have dish pans or storage containers. Now, what if you don't have any of those? Well, I know everybody has a sink and probably a bathtub too. So you can use one of those to put the water in to float your boats on and test them. And don't forget that you're going to want your pennies or your standard unit of measure. Okay, let's go on. So now we know our materials and our tools. So we've asked, we've imagined, we're making a plan. What's next? We have some constraints. You know, Ms. McCormick is going to give you some rules. All right, so let's go through the Family Mayflower Challenge. So each member of your family will compete to build a boat that can hold the most pennies without sinking. So if a little bit of water gets into your boat, but it's still floating, you can continue to add pennies one at a time. So we're only going to put 1 penny at a time. But if the boat starts going below the water, we consider that sinking, then you're done counting and that's your penny count for the challenge. So what are the rest of the rules? So let's move this out of the way so that we can see them. Each person, again, is going to use 1 square of foil, and that is the only material you may use to build the boat. You may not add tape or anything else. Place the pennies in the boat one at a time. You can keep adding pennies until your boat starts sinking. And a bonus challenge, see if you can get it to hold 102 pennies, 1 penny for every person on the Mayflower. Okay, so now we've got our plan in place. We're ready to create and test. You're going to gather your tools and materials. You might have noticed that I added one more that wasn't on the first slide. I added a towel. This can get a little messy, so I like to put a towel underneath my tub that I'm using, or you might want to have a couple towels by the side so you can wipe up something if anything spills, because we don't want anybody tripping on the floor. And you can see a nice demonstration of here of putting 1 penny at a time. Okay, let's go on. So once everybody has had a chance to test their original boat, you're going to try to improve it. All engineers look and see. So compare how many pennies your boat held to your family member's boat. Which one held the most? What was different? What made that work better? So use those clues and your imagination to think of a way to improve your boat to get it to hold more pennies, and try again. You have to use the same piece of foil. You can't get a new piece of foil, but you can change the shape and how you put it in the water. Okay, so now let's go on to the next step. How do you know the winner? So the winner is the family member who was able to put the most pennies into the boat before it started to sink. So that's why it's important also to do the pennies one at a time so you can count them. 1, 2. You might want to use tailing marks to keep track, however, or just do it in your head. The younger kids, if you get up to high numbers, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, please help them count to those higher numbers, because this is a great learning experience to learn numbers beyond 10. Okay, I also forgot to mention earlier, what if you don't have someone at your house that's able to do the challenge with you? Well, just like we Zoom at school, you can Zoom or FaceTime or Skype with someone, and you can do the challenge each at your own home. All right, so let's go over if you want to do more. So some of my students ask me for harder challenges, so I've included one in this one ahead of time. So after you've tried your original challenge, you can create a new version yourself. Some ideas are you could use a different type of coin or object. You could allow other materials to be used. So maybe you have some plastic things at home, or egg cartons, anything in the recycle bin might be a good idea to test out and see if it works. You could also make new requirements, like why don't you make it closer to the real Mayflower and put some sails on it? Or make sure that the walls have to be a certain height. So everybody has to have the walls a certain height, but they can have different shapes. Have fun with it. And make sure if you do the extra challenge that you show that new version to Miss McCormick. All right, so now what's the last step? So we've asked, imagine, plan, created and tested, and improved. Now it's time to share your work. All good engineers share their work. So you're going to share your work with Miss McCormick in a video on Schoology. You're going to take a video of each person's boat. So in the video, be sure to tell me who you challenged. I challenged my dad and my brother Michael. In my video, I would show you my boat, my brother's boat, and my dad's boat. I'm not going to show them to you now because I don't want you to get hints on what we used. I want you to use your imagination for yourself. All right, then you're also going to tell me who was the winner, which boat was able to hold the most pennies, and how many pennies did it hold? So in our challenge, we were trying to beat that 102 passengers from the Mayflower. And guess what? My brother Michael did it. He had the most pennies in his boat, and he got 233. I wonder if you can beat my brother. Once you explain who won, you're going to tell me why you think that boat won. So, with my brother, we observed the difference between our boats, and he had a different shape that I did, and I'm not going to tell you what shape it was, but I think his shape helped make the boat hold the pennies better. So you're going to look at the boats and figure out why that boat was able to hold more pennies than the others. And remember, if you created a new challenge, go ahead and explain that to me too, and show me those boats. Now, after every challenge, we want to make sure that we're being responsible citizens, right? So be sure to recycle your foil in your green recycle bin. And I think I forgot to mention this earlier, but for your other challenges. So if you're done with your turkeys or your other items made out of cardboard and paper, I'd like you to put those in the recycle bin too, so they can be turned into something new. So I want you to have a happy Thanksgiving and have some fun creating this. And I can't wait to see them. So I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time on this challenge. So it's not going to be due until after Thanksgiving, so that you can maybe do it while you're home for those extra long weekend. Great seeing you again. Can't wait to see you for the next challenge and to see your wonderful boats. Bye.